Do 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 do. Oh, are we live?
We're live.
Yay! Awesome. Hello, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us for another episode of the Tim and Jim Show. I am Tim Sohn here in Northeast Pennsylvania, as I like to say, with the bears and the turkeys, and there's also lots of deer as well, and people occasionally. And I'm delighted to be here for our episode today on how to tell your authentic story. But first, I'm going to turn it over to my trusty co-host and amazing friend, Jim Fuse.
And good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Tim and Jim Show. And I'm here today in Braves country, Chop On, National League East champions. We're excited. Maybe there'll be a virtual World Series. I don't know if I'll actually get to go to it. I am a season ticket holder for the Braves, so I do have to disclose that. That's why I'm cheering for them. And we're really excited to have Michelle here with us today from not too far from you, Tim, which was pretty interesting. And so,
Yeah,
Michelle, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hi. Well, I'm so happy to be here. Thank you so much for having me. My name
of
is
course.
Michelle Markey. I live close to Tim in Milford with the bears and the coyotes and the deer and
Oh,
the turkey and
coyotes.
sometimes the people.
Occasionally.
I occasionally. I am a social media manager. I am a content creator. I am a copywriter, and I am a ghostwriter. The ghostwriting part means that I write on behalf of somebody else who maybe doesn't want to say what they have to say or doesn't quite know how to put it into words. So happy to be on your show. Thank you for having me.
Yes, thank you so much for joining us. Myself and Michelle, I believe, are both a fan of Dunkin' Donuts.
Yes.
Yes, cheers to that. So today, like I said, we're going to be talking about how to tell your authentic story. Thank you so much to everyone who is tuning in, no matter where you are, no matter what time it is, no matter what you're drinking. We're delighted to have you here. So, Mr. Jim Fuse, do you want to take away question number one for Michelle?
Yes, Michelle, what does authentic mean anyway?
So when we talk about or we think about or we're striving to tell our authentic story on social media, we want to be portraying ourselves in a way that shows our true selves, how we really feel, what we're really doing, what's true to us, and what's really in alignment with our values. It doesn't necessarily mean that you're oversharing, but it means that you are portraying yourself in a way that's true to you, that feels good to you, and you're not trying to be anybody else because you are unique. Your story, yourself, and your brand are all beautiful. And you need to own that and step into that power of being true to you.
I love that. I know a lot of times people, especially when they're getting started out on social media, they think that they have to be this perfect person on social media, right? That everything has to be shiny and perfect, right? Do you see that as well
Right.
with your clients and in your world?
Absolutely. You know what? And social media wasn't really started to show all the perfect moments. It kind of became that. But the backswing to showing the authentic version of yourself, what's really going on in your life and how you're showing up and how you're conquering the challenges in your life is just as prominent and just as important as the perfect moments that we all love to share anyway. So your life does not have to be perfect. You do not have to be perfect to show up in social media at all.
Do you think though that that's where people struggle because they're afraid if they show their imperfections that then people will like maybe not think of as highly of them? I mean, I actually think it's the opposite way. I think, Ryan Foland in his book Ditch the Act really talks about how when we're authentic and let people know the struggles we've gone through, that people actually connect better.
I absolutely agree. And I think that when we're showing our vulnerability, we open up a whole different door to connecting to a new audience who might not otherwise be attracted to who we are, what we're selling, what we're doing, what we're showing, what we have to offer you. So, yes, I think that vulnerability aspect is huge. And I think that many people are not willing to show those imperfections because opening that door and being vulnerable is very scary, and we don't necessarily want to do it.
So, Michelle, do you have any suggestions for someone who is scared of sharing their authentic self on social media? Like, how do you get over that? Do you have any
Well,
suggestions?
I do. I would suggest maybe thinking about something that's gone on in your life, a way that you can connect with an audience in a meaningful way that helps your brand and your growth and shows how you overcame a struggle. Because no matter what, we all struggle and we don't like to talk about it, right? Sometimes there's some stigmas, but sometimes the strongest bonds and connections are formed when we connect with someone on that most vulnerable level, right? So if you
Yeah.
have overcome something and you can talk about it on social media, then yeah, absolutely open that door. That being said, not all the doors have to be opened. There's some things that do not deserve sharing on social media. But it's nice to share our successes when we can.
Would you say
So,
that what would you say not to share? Like I know Ryan Folan's big about like, really don't talk about politics and religion on social because I still don't think we change anyone's mind when we give our opinions on that. Uh, but there's also maybe some other things you want to be careful about sharing. I mean, what do you think, Michelle?
I agree. Politics, social media, they do not mix. Religion, I tend to say to always guide my clients not to be sharing on social media. There's certain parts of your life that are not social media worthy. If you wouldn't tell the story in a proud way at a gathering, say Thanksgiving dinner, then maybe you need to think twice about sharing that on social media. But if you overcame something, you could tell grandma and great grandma and Aunt Janet that you're proud of it, then absolutely, why wouldn't you share that on social media? If you have to think twice, then maybe you do need to take a step back and ask someone else's opinion about whether that is content worthy for your brand.
I like that, and I'll tell you another thing. When I was in the Marine Corps and government contracting, we used to call it the Washington Post test. Would you want that story to be on the front page of the Washington Post?
Well,
And
absolutely. Yeah. And two, to add to that, when you say something, it's always on social media, right? It never fully goes away. So
right.
we have lots of triumphs. We can share our struggles, but you can share a struggle without giving all the nitty-gritty details, right? And you can
yeah.
still share a lot without sharing everything. So just be cognizant of that.
Yeah, those are some great points. And I think too, Michelle, that especially with all that's going on now, Jim, I'm going to say it now more than ever. Um, I feel like people really have been connecting more on social media, and especially at first with all that was going on. And I just feel like I feel like with all that's going on, there are opportunities for people or businesses to share those stories, even if they're not all positive stories, right? We're all going through things that maybe not be so positive as well.
Mhm.
Would you agree with that?
Absolutely. I think that sharing a story, even if it doesn't have a great outcome yet, but sharing that you're struggling is another point of connection. So when we think about marketing ourselves, our businesses, our brands, the organizations that we support, when we are identifying the know, like, trust factor, and we're
Mhm.
inviting that into our social media lives, we're creating those points of connection and there's nurturing moments. And whether it's all rainbows and butterflies, Or maybe it's a little bit of a blue day and the sky is cloudy. We can all relate to that. So the more times that you can create those touch points, the further you're gonna reach in the digital space where you are.
Absolutely, absolutely. And everyone who is tuning in, thank you so much for being here. We're here with Michelle Markey talking about how to tell your authentic story. Thank you for everyone who's here. Make anything easy says hello, Tim and Jim, as well as hello, Michelle. Linda says, shout out to the Coyotes. Shout out to them.
Wouldn't that be a howl as opposed to a shout out?
It might
Good point.
be. She also says writing is such an amazing skill and gift. Linda is, I think we can consider her a resident guest of the show now, Jim, don't you think?
She does.
Oh.
She does show up quite often. Yes, we appreciate that.
She does, absolutely. Sherry Roberts is watching from North Carolina. Hey, Sherry. Linda is from Roxbury, where they have bears, foxes, and bobcats. Oh my. I'm seeing a animal theme here today. And Sherry says, great tips, Michelle. So thank you everyone for those. Jim, do you want to take, well, actually, I'll ask this one. Michelle, why is it important that we tell our authentic stories anyway?
Well, it's important because one, you're the resident expert on yourself and your authenticity, right? And we're always looking for experts on advice. And again, that comes back to what I was saying just a minute ago about those touch points. The digital space, it's a crowded space, especially right now in the pandemic. So to stand out in that crowded space, you need to be creating those touch points and those nurturing moments where you can be memorable. And when I can relate to somebody else, then I remember them. And even if I haven't gone through what they're going through, or they have gone through, if their story touches me or something impacts me or I feel inspired, obviously I remember them. And it's all about being memorable, right? And you can't if you're not being authentic. It's just when you put on that front and you don't show up exactly with your truest version of yourself, then you're not creating that alignment. You're not bringing in that energy, and it just seems fake because let's be real, it kind of is, right? And there's enough fakeness on the internet that we don't need to be adding to that.
Now more than ever.
Yeah, now more than ever, right? Especially during the pandemic, we are all looking to connect when we can't connect as much as we want to in person.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Great points, Michelle. So everyone, we're going to take a quick 15-second break for a message from our sponsor, StreamYard, and we will see you on the other side. Oh, we're back. Hello, everyone, and we are back. We've been having an amazing conversation with Michelle Markey about how to tell your authentic story. So, Jim, why don't you take our next question here?
So, Michelle, how do we figure out how much is too much to share, and what do you think we really should share?
Well, there's definitely oversharing. I will not say that there isn't oversharing. So I think when we're thinking about what to share, we're thinking about our content and why is it important? What are the touch points? How can it connect with others? You need to kind of ask yourself how this content can benefit somebody else, right? Can I connect with somebody else? Will somebody else understand? Could this inspire somebody else to either take action, to make changes, to follow me? And I think that it's important to just stop before you post, pause, and think about whether the post content is smart. there was a point in social media, probably 13, 15 years ago, where the trend was to post pictures of every meal that you were eating and every song that you were listening to. And that is not the case anymore. We're really looking to connect and to build those meaningful relationships. So if you're and I'm not saying that you can't post your amazing homemade cinnamon rolls, because you can, but do you need to post everything that you ate today? Probably not. Would your post make your audience cringe? Maybe we need to back off, and many of the social media platforms have a drafts folder. And if you're not sure, throw that post in drafts for a day or two. Nothing says that you can't come back to it if you're not feeling certain about whether it's going to further your reach and has value to others. Really, we're just looking to add value, right?
Yeah, because I will tell you, I don't know about you guys, but you have certain people that it's like they're posting all day long. And that's why I'm so glad. And I don't know if you guys watched the movie The Social Dilemma, but
Oh, I did watch it after you mentioned
yeah,
it, Jim. I started to.
I don't have notifications on my phone because of people like that, because my phone would be going bling, bling, bling. It's like Michelle just posted a picture of her cinnamon rolls, and Michelle just went for a walk, and and do we really need all that?
Right. I think that there's a big difference between quality and quantity, and that's what you're talking about,
Yes,
Jim.
yes,
So really it's
absolutely.
about quality over quantity. And
Yep.
your picture with your post could be kind of not exciting, but your words could be fantastic. So
Mhm.
really it's about the whole picture, the whole post that we're thinking about as well.
Michelle, do you think there's sort of in terms of balancing, especially if you're a business, like the more personal nature posts and more businessy posts, tips or, things providing value like that? Is there sort of a percentage that you follow in terms of what kinds of content that you would recommend people put out there?
Well, I think that it has to be at least 50-50.
Hmm.
I really like the 70-30 range a little bit more. But that your question, Tim, is a little bit loaded because we have behind the scenes on Instagram stories. We have reels. Well, maybe we've learned this awesome funny dance, and is that value? No, but is it funny? And do we remember it? Yes. So really, the lines
Right.
can be a little bit blurred. I do think that value and entertainment are always more important and should be posted than just about, complaining about X, Y, and Z. Nobody cares if your neighbor is running their lawnmower at 8:05 p.m. and quiet hours started at 8. And is that something that needs to be posted for your business? No. So there are some hard lines. Some of the lines are blurry. And it kind of just takes some knowledge and again that second thinking or that second thought before you post what you're posting.
Yeah, definitely. What do you think, Jim, about that? And how do you handle that in your social media content?
Well, I think part of it for me is I have evolved where, in some aspects, and I talk about this all the time, Facebook is not necessarily my favorite platform. So I focus more on posting content on LinkedIn and on Twitter, but I don't want to completely forget Facebook. So I'll be strategic about what I post, or like we just started the Tim and Jim Show Facebook page because really it makes sense for us to talk about the show on that page as opposed to like having it on our individual business pages. Sure, we want to share it there, but we really want our show community to have a place to go to where they can find our content easily. Same thing with the YouTube channel. So I think sure, I shared the show as we went live to my personal page because I would like some of my, friends and acquaintances that are connected to me personally to see it. And you know what? And darn it, we're fighting that algorithm.
Now more than ever.
Absolutely. Absolutely. But I mean, I think that we also need to remember the purposes behind each platform, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if Instagram stories is for behind the scenes, and that's where you can share more of your funny tidbits or, the things that are happening to you each day. But your Instagram grid, your Instagram post, that content is a little bit different. They aren't the same. So, those fine nuances take a minute to learn, but they're so important, especially for your business.
Well,
Yeah,
and
definitely.
I like the stories piece too, because at least it disappears in 24 hours unless you choose to save it as a highlight.
Yep, exactly.
That's true. And Linda says it's one to be vulnerable about business dilemmas, but complaining is annoying. If I complain, I'll do it on Twitter more often than anywhere because, well, it's Twitter. Ha ha ha.
I agree, Linda. I agree.
And she also says Tim's tagline, now more than ever. Love it. Ha ha ha. So this has been a great conversation. Jim, do you want to take the last question here for Michelle?
Sure. Michelle, can you share some examples of people sharing their authentic story and that making a difference in their life or their business?
I can. So the story that I'll share today is actually from my mentor. Her name is Ashley K from ashleykcreative.co. And she was solidly booked for, 2.5 years probably with social media clients. She hired me. I came onto her team. We worked together. She taught me so much about what I need to know. And I'm so grateful for her. But recently, she kind of had a pivot because she wasn't feeling like she was in alignment with telling her true story and the things that she is really passionate about on social media. So she took a small break, she pivoted. When she came back and she started telling her audience and her followers about, one, I need a pivot because I'm just not feeling it. And two, I'm passionate about helping creatives and about helping entertainers in the Buffalo area. All of a sudden she's like flooded with clients because people automatically sense her energy. They connect with her, they relate to her. And we can all understand what it's like to just not be feeling it. Like you feel something is just off a little bit when you identify it and when you come back and you have the strength to be a little bit vulnerable and say, you know what, I was making money here, but I really want to be over here. And so now I'm gonna go this way. People are so much more interested and excited for you. And that really brings your particular audience that needs to hear your message, your story, and appreciate your authenticity so much more. So I'm proud of her for what she's done. I'm proud to still be working with her. And I know so many other stories that are really the same. If you're not feeling it and you're not being authentic, we can all show up, right? We can all just show up. But if your heart's not in it and you don't feel it, then it's just not going to lead you to where you really are being the best that you can be. And that's where we all want to be and to feel, right? That sense of fulfillment. That's what we're all, that's what we all want, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And I think too, that really, like, if you're doing something and you don't love what you do and you show up like on a live video, a podcast, however you show up on social media, if you're not excited about what you do, then maybe you should be doing something else.
Yep,
right?
I agree. We only get one life. It's not a dress rehearsal. So if we're not waking up and we're not excited, then it's kind of time to figure out where we need to go and which direction we need to move in.
Yeah, absolutely. So Michelle, this has been an amazing conversation with somebody who is local and a Dunkin' Donuts fan. So bonus points for that. So thank you so much for being here. Tell us how people can find out more information about you, website, social media, whatever you want to share.
Oh, well, thank you. It's been my pleasure to be on your show, to drink coffee with you, Tim and Jim.
Cheers.
Cheers. You can find me at the Michelle Markey. My website is themichellemarkey.com. And you can find my email and all of my information right there. Markey is spelled Markey.
Excellent. Jim, any parting words for you? And do you want to share who our guest is next week? I'm super excited about that.
Next week, we will have Scott Ayers from the Social Media Lab. And it's actually, in a sense, a twofer because he's going to be a guest on our show. And then we're going to be a guest on his show a little bit later that day. I think actually at 1. So that'll be
an hour later.
Back-to-back shows. So that's going to be a lot of fun. Maybe that's like an A/B test in and of itself. Which show gets more views? And also, Tim and I are interested to know if you can in the comments. We're thinking about creating some Tim and Jim show swag. What would you like to see? Maybe it's a coffee mug since we're talking about coffee, and maybe Duncan wants to sponsor it if they're listening.
Maybe. You never know. Shout out to Duncan.
Duncan.
Yes. All right. Awesome. Thank you, Jim. Thank you, Michelle. And thank you, everyone, for tuning in for another episode of the Tim and Jim Show. And we will see you next week. Same time, same location. Maybe different coffee. I don't know. Bye.
Thanks. Bye.